Hello and welcome back. I'm Nicole, the Cottage Witch, and this is my week in mostly books because I've started the Tarot Readathon, but also a little bit of tarot because it's the Tarot Readathon. So first, the books I read at the end of June before the Readathon started. So it's a Readathon in July, and I read these in June before that. This is L'étranger by Camus. I have the Mersault Investigations, which is an Algerian writer's response to this, and he just won some big French literary prize last year or the year before, I can't remember. So he's doing quite well for himself, and I just thought it would be really cool to read because I've read Jean Rhys's, what's it called, Blue Sargasso Sea, I think. Is that what it's called? No, Wide Sargasso Sea. Something like that. That's a response to Jane Eyre. And I like that sort of like decolonial response to other literature. So I read this with the audiobook because it's still a bit too hard for me, but the stuff that's more YA is to just like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not something I'm particularly interested in at the moment. So this is what I'm going with. And it was fun. It was weird. I did get the sense that which the book is quite famous for, that the narrator just kind of doesn't care much. He's very flat affect. Yeah, it was weird. Strange little book. And then I read this also strange little book, possibly more strange. This is Paraguayan Sea, which is standing in for my book from Paraguay at the moment. So I'm nearly done reading around the world for South America. However, turns out this author is actually from Brazil. Because borders are weird. I don't know. Anyway, it is written in Portunhol, something like that. It's the combination of Spanish and Portuguese. So it's translated, and Guarani, which is an indigenous language in South America. But it was translated into Quebecois Franglish, or Franglais, if you like. So a combination of French and English. It's, I would say, still like 75% English, and then maybe 20% French and 5% Guarani. So there is a Guarani glossary at the back. You don't need to, you can mostly figure out what they're talking about though. But you do have to know enough French vocabulary to understand most of it, or you might be a little bit lost. But it's weird. It's very strange. There's not much in the way of plot. Basically somebody who might be a woman or might be a gay man. It's a little unclear. You could probably even read it as a trans person if you were so inclined. Their male lover has died, and it's sort of their reflections on their, it seems like, very long relationship after that, and all the things they liked about it and really didn't. It's bizarre. It is a weird book. I don't even know I have no idea how to explain it. It's a strange one. And then I listened to Matilda in French because I wanted something a bit easier, and it was fun. And that's about where my listening level is at, which is why I listened and read this one at the same time, listened to and read it at the same time, because I want to improve my listening comprehension to get it where my reading comprehension is, if that makes sense, because they're not in the same place, which is a bit frustrating. Anyway, Readathon. I am using this week the Tarot of the She. Whoops, that's not very, there, that's better lighting, by Emily Carding, which is really fun. And I might change it next week because, you know, just for fun, no other reason. So this Significator, every week the teams, and I'm on Team Pentacles, which is objectively the best team. They pull a Significator card for each team each week, and every card is associated with a prompt. And you can read as many books as you want towards the Significator for that challenge, and then there's the Minor Arcana challenge where you pull your own cards and read towards those, but only one per card, one book per card. this is the Significator is the only one where you can double up, and ours was Strength this week, which was a book featuring an animal in some way. Oh yeah. So I pulled a couple of spreads with this book by Lida Pavlova, The Library of Questions. So I've still got like 7 books on my shelf over there that are on my TBR for the month that I'll probably get through. We will see. So the first one I pulled was the 10 of Cups, which is Dancer 10 in this one. I love this deck. I just got it recently and it was a lot of fun. And so this is your favorite genre, and I like several genres, so I could have gone with Litfic, or I could have gone with a couple other things, but I went with Icelandic mysteries, which is really specific, but they're onto something good there. I don't know. So this is another one by Arnaldur Indriðason. I don't know how to say this D that's like a TH very well. Anyway, it's a pretty, I want to say standard, like Nordic crime fiction. Standard makes it sound not very good, but that's kind of why I like it, because I know what to expect with this. And I've read a couple other in the series now, and they're just fun. They're easy to read, they're fun to read. I can take a break from some of the other more complicated stuff that I'm reading that's a bit more work. Like, I like the stuff that's more work, that's challenging, but also sometimes you need to break it up with something that's a bit easier and more relaxed to read. And so that was that. And then the Justice card is a book that addresses a social justice issue. And several of these could have worked for that as well. But I went with, falling apart here, The Known World by Edward P. Jones. This is set, when is it set? In some time of slavery in the US, which I know is quite a, like 200 or 300 years of time, but I can't remember exactly when it's set. But it's a morally complicated book because obviously, obviously slavery is horrifying. One of the main characters in this book is a black slaveholder, which I did not know was a thing that happened. Apparently it happened. So he used to be a slave, this character, as a kid. His parents were somehow freed, and then he bought a person. His dad was so horrified he kicked him out because his parents had been enslaved. And it's the story of his family and their plantation. I don't know if it's called a plantation in whatever. They were in Virginia. I don't know. I'm not American. I'm doing my best here. Anyway, it's just a really complicated story. So there's also a police officer who's basically an abolitionist, except he couldn't openly be an abolitionist in Virginia, and so he didn't own slaves himself, but he also caught runaways for people, even though he didn't want to, but he didn't want to lose his job either, so he did. So it's a really interesting book. I think it was written by a black man, because it just complicates everything a lot, and I like that. Yeah, there's an interview with the author in the back here. So it's in no way is it saying like slavery was somehow justifiable or anything. It's just, it makes it messier than people might be comfortable with, and it makes you uncomfortable, which I think is a good thing every now and again, to be made uncomfortable by a book about really difficult and brutal topics like slavery. Okay, the next one I read was for the Tower, which is going through a major change. For this, I read In the Time of the Butterflies by Julia Alvarez. This is based on a true story of the Mirabal sisters, who in the Dominican Republic, there was a dictator, Trujillo. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Anyway, three of these four sisters were part of the sort of resistance to him, and they were killed because of it. So that all actually happened. So you kind of know what's going to happen in the book before they get to that part of the book, because they're monuments to these women now, and so that's not a secret. But it is interesting to read the sort of fictionalized version of their stories and how they came to grow up, and how they came to believe the things they believed and fight for the things they fought for. And one of the sisters didn't, which was interesting. And it doesn't like villainize her or anything. She's a fully human character in the book, and it's sort of she has her reasons for not joining the resistance, and the reader can then decide if they think they agree with her or not. And it's really, I think it's quite a well-written book, and she clearly is the author is clearly very passionate about this period in these women's lives, and their resistance to the dictator. And ooh, the corner's ripped. I'll put that aside to fix it after this. Okay, and then the last book I read was For the Hanged One, which has mixed media elements because it has maps. I don't know if that counts as mixed media, but I'm counting it as mixed media because that's the best I could do. And where's the map? Who doesn't love a book with map? Also, it's got these fun little drawings above each chapter, which, I mean, yes please. Where did the map go? I just saw the map and now it's vanished. Typical. There we go. This is A Wizard of Earthsea. I've never read Ursula Le Guin before, and it was really pretty good. I didn't realize it was like a middle grade novel when I started it. So I wasn't maybe as interested in it as I would have been if it was an adult novel, because that's just where I'm at in my life at this exact moment. But it was a good story, and I may put a pin in the series for now, but I may read some more of it at another time, because yeah, it was quite intriguing. And those were my books of the week. I think it was a pretty good reading week. There are a couple other books that I started that I haven't finished yet because I'm reading the physical books. A couple of these I listen to as audiobooks, which goes a bit faster if I can have them on while I'm, doing the dishes or whatever. But next week I'll have some of the one of the. Nope, speech is gone now. Okay, it's the end of a day on a Friday. It's been a ridiculous day at work. I'm done. That's it. That's all I've got. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.